So let's begin with our program for today. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatadi Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Everyone together, raise your hands higher. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all for joining us for today evening Mantra Jam session. So we'll begin with our prayers that we recite in the beginning of this Bhagavatam sessions or the Mantra Jam session. So who would like to lead us today with the prayers? So who have not recited so far? Okay. Who would like to take us with the prayers? Okay. Let's see. Okay, Srirang, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye nashtaprareshu bhuteshu nityam bhagavana
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu.
नष्टप्रावेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत भगवत की उत्तमया श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय की नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
Yes, thank you, Shiran Prabhu. So, I'm not going to go into the glories which we have recited before. I'll skip it. Okay, we can take a look. Anyone remembers the glories? We can take that maybe, although I have a short time. Does anyone remember the verses that we have discussed for the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam? Somebody is sending a message. Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, Rima, or the kids. I'm sorry, I don't remember the kids' names now. Yes, please go ahead. Mother Rima, I see you're both kids raising your hand. Please go ahead.
Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavana Priyam Yasmit Padamaham Se Kamalam Jnanam Padamagiyate Tatra Jnana Virata Bhakti Sayatam Neshwar Memarishidam Savan Sukya Vicharam Pado Bhaktavinjaivanara.
Shri Dados.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Next.
कृष्ण सदाम भगते धर्म ज्ञानादिधीसा कलो नष्ट श्यामेशा प्राणा करोदनोदिथा.
Thank you. Wonderful. Purana Arka Udhonitaha. That's a word here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay. And the last verse, I will have one more verse here. Srimad Bhagavatam is the best of the Puranas. Anyone else wants to try? Anyone else remembers? Okay, I don't see anyone hands up here. No one else remember have learned the shlokas? Okay. Go ahead, Mother Rima. Unmute. Go ahead, unmute.
देवी नाम चूतथा वैष्णवं यथा शंभु प्राणायाम तथा.
Thank you. So wonderful. All right. So,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Thank you. So we'll begin with our today's topic, the history of Shukratal. Before we get into it, just a recap of last time's session where we had in the previous episode discussed about the life of Sukhadev Goswami. And in our previous episode, we had discussed two verses in glorification of Sukhadev Maharaj. Who have learned those shlokas which were in for the glorification of Sukhadev Goswami? There were two shlokas which described or gave the glories of Sukhadev Goswami. The first shloka was Yaswanubhavam Akhila Shrutisharamekam. I've given you the hint, I've given you the first line. And similarly, there was another shloka describing about it. So I just see two kids here. One is Mother Rima's kids and also Srirang. What about others? No one else could learn the shlokas? Okay. All right, Srirang, go ahead. Srirang, unmute yourself.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Prabhuji, I was able to learn the second shloka.
Please go ahead with the second shloka.
Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam shukha mukhat amrita dravam
Dravyatam.
pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Okay, great. And second shloka that we had, so this shloka talks about that, the devotees relish Nigamakalpataro Galitam Phalam, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, which has become more relishable since it came from the mouth of Sukhadev Goswami. And second shloka that we discussed about Sukhadev Maharaj was about Sukhadev Maharaj's compassion. Anyone remembers this shloka? Okay, I don't see anyone's hand here, so I go with Mother Rima's kids. Please unmute.
Anubhavam akhil shrutisharamekam adhyatmam
Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, good. At least some kids are learning shlokas. I'm happy to know that. All right, we'll begin with our today's program in the today's session. See, I have made it very simple for all of you already. I'm not giving you more than two shlokas. So I don't know why kids are not finding that taste in learning shlokas. Maybe at the end of the session, we can discuss a little bit about it. So let's begin with our session for today. And here is my question to all of you. And you can see this question on your screen. And the question that you see on your screen is, where was first Bhagavatam spoken? Where was the first Bhagavatam spoken? Okay. Was it at Badri Narayan, which means Badrinath? Was it at Vrindavan? Was it at Naimisharanya or Shukratal? Where was Srimad Bhagavatam spoken for the first time? All of you quickly conclude your voting, then we'll give you the answer for it. So please don't type in your answer. You have the voting here, so you can do it here. Okay, great. So most of you have done it. Let's see the answer. So maximum says Naimisharanya, and then they say Shukratal and Vrindavan. However, you know what's the correct answer? The first time Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken at the place called as Badri Narayan or Badri Nath, not Naimisharanya or Shukratal. Badri Narayan is the site of the first Srimad Bhagavatam recitation because it is Badrinath, or it is at Badrinath where we have Vyas Gufa. It's a place where Srila Vyasdev resided. Just ahead of Badri Narayan temple, few kilometers ahead, the shrine or the Gufa or the cave of Srila Vyasdev comes, and that is the place where the first recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam happened. After first recitation here, the second recitation happened at a place called as Shukratal. This place comes in Uttar Pradesh, which is almost halfway between Delhi and Haridwar. and it is, yeah, almost like that. It's 86 kilometers approximately before Haridwar. And it's a little town which sits on the banks of the holy Ganges River. And it is at this place 5,000 years ago, underneath this Akshay Vat or Akshay Vraksha tree, where Sukdev Goswami had spoken Shrimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And this Vraksha or this Vraksh is said to be more than 5,000 years old, who has witnessed all the history since 5,000 years. And there are many interesting stories about this tree. It is said the Muslims invaders almost 26 times they tried to attack and destroy this historical site. They tried to burn this tree, but this tree could never be burnt. Similarly, the Britishers tried to stop worship here, and until the recent government, if I'm correct, the recent government of the ruling chief minister, actually they kind of opened this place for pilgrims to visit, if I'm correct in this news. However, this is an ancient site, we'll talk about it. And the third place where Srimad Bhagavatam was recited after this is Naimisharanya. This is a place where Sutta Goswami had spoken Srimad Bhagavatam to 88,000 sages who had assembled at this sacred place. And this also comes in Uttar Pradesh. This is a 2 hours or 3 hours drive from Kanpur. I had the great fortune last year to visit these places, Naimisharanya and other places. So let's come to the history of Shukratal. So like in previous session, we had spoken about brief history of Sukdev Goswami. And Shukratal is a place where Sukdev Goswami came when he was just 16-year-old boy. He came here and he met Parikshit Maharaj. And where Parikshit Maharaj, the king of the whole world, had given up everything, had entered his monastic life or the forest life. And here he took shelter of Sukdev Goswami and he inquired from him, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? What should the person do who has only few days to live? What should be the subject matter for him to study and remember? Like that, Parikshit Maharaj asked this, and to answer that question, Sukdev Goswami began to speak what is the subject matter which is important. And this happened at this particular place called Shukratal. And as I said in the beginning, the exact spot where Sukdev Goswami sat and he addressed Parikshit Maharaj is this Akshay Vrat, underneath where Sukdev Goswami had spoken to Parikshit Maharaj. And it is said more than 80,000 sages were present, had assembled at this place called Shukratal from all over the universe. All the great sages had come and they were eager to hear from Sukdev Goswami or to hear about the discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami. So the question comes, how did this great narration happen? What led to this great narration? What inspired Parikshit Maharaj to go to the forest, give up his kingdom, and find shelter of Sukdev Goswami and make an inquiry about the duty of a dying man? So in the next episode, when we meet, we're going to speak about who was Parikshit Maharaj in details. However, here, I'm just going to give you how this narration happened. But before we get into this, let's take another question here. So let's see how many of you know who was Parikshit Maharaj. So here is a question on your screen. Who was King Parikshit? Was he son of Arjuna? Was he grandson of Bhishma? Was he son of Abhimanyu? Or was he a grandson of Dhritarashtra? So let's do a little general knowledge test. Who was King Parikshit? I hope all of you are able to see the poll on the screen and you can give your answer there. All right, so I guess most of you have already done it. And yes, as most of you have rightly said, he was son of Abhimanyu. He was not son of Arjuna. Looks like somebody might have done it by mistake. Fine. So great, thank you for that little input. So at least you all are aware of this historical character who was Parikshit Maharaj. Well, I should have had a question, also an option here, don't know. Then I would have got to know that is there anyone who does not know anything about Parikshit Maharaj? Anyways, long story short, so how does this great narration happen? That the story begins with an incident wherein Parikshit Maharaj had gone out to take a tour of his kingdom. And at this particular time, he was on a forest retreat. He had entered the forest for a retreat or for a journey. And during that kind of time, Parikshit Maharaj became very thirsty. He was looking for water. He didn't find any river, any lake, any well nearby, and he was looking for water. At a distance, Parikshit Maharaj saw a hermitage. And he realized that there is a hermitage, there is an ashram, so there must be some sages living there. And definitely, Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll just disable the chat. So I see some questions here. Okay, so he saw the hermitage thinking that there is an ashram, there will be sages, and definitely they'll be drinking water. Parikshit Maharaj was very, very thirsty. He went into the hermitage, and when he went into the hermitage, he didn't find anyone there. It was more or less empty. However, he found one person sitting in a state of a dhyana. So it is described that Parikshit Maharaj at this point in time was almost 60-year-old. And there, when he went into the ashram, this ashram belonged to a great sage by the name of Samika Rishi. And he found this great sage who was sitting in a position of a trance or samadhi. King Parikshit tried speaking to the sage, but the sage did not say anything. He was completely absorbed in his meditation. However, because Parikshit Maharaj was so thirsty, and he is the king of the whole world, Parikshit Maharaj for a second misunderstood the situation, and he thought that the sage does not want to greet me, the sage does not want to welcome me, and therefore he's feigning, he's pretending as if he's in samadhi. Thinking like this, Parikshit Maharaj became very upset. However, he moved around, he searched for the water nearby, but he could not find water in the ashram also by himself. Was not able to find water to drink, and seeing that there was only one person in the ashram who was sitting in a state of trance or samadhi and not listening when Parikshit Maharaj is calling out for the sage, Parikshit Maharaj got a little upset and he felt a little offended. Offended means insulted. So when Parikshit Maharaj turned around to walk away from the ashram, just next to the sage, as the will of providence will be, Parikshit Maharaj saw a dead snake. He lifted the dead snake with the arrow and put that dead snake around the neck of the sage Samika Rishi, and then he went away from there. It is described in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that, of course, this was a very unfortunate incident, a very inappropriate action at the side of a great king like Parikshit Maharaj, who is a Raja Rishi, who was an ideal role model for the society. Yet he acted which was inappropriate in one manner. So our acharyas in this particular incident mentions that this was the beginning of the age of Kali Yuga. So the first verse for all of you for today to recite and learn is about the symptoms of the age of Kali. What are the symptoms of the present age in which we are living in? And this incident where Parikshit Maharaj had put a dead snake around the neck of Samika Rishi was said to be the beginning. Excuse me, one second. It's said to be the beginning of the Kali Yuga. So what are the symptoms of this age? Let's take a look. All of you, please repeat. Prayena alpa ayusha sabhya. Why don't we do one thing? We allow everyone to unmute yourself. All of you, please unmute. And when I say a line, I will pause and you all can repeat after me. Okay? All of you, please unmute yourself.
Mirapur 460.
Great. So I will read out the first line and you repeat after me. Prayena alpa ayusha sabhya. Kalava asmin yuge janaha.
Kalavasmin yuge janaha.
Mandasu mandamatayo. Mandabhagya hi updrutaha. Okay. Hare Krishna. So I just muted you all because there was a lot of background noise. I'm going to just read out the shloka once all together. Then I would like request you all to repeat after this shloka once, okay? Hopefully you all get it. The shloka is like this, and then I'll also give you the meaning, and then we'll recite the shloka together. Prayena alpa ayusha sabhya kalava asmin yuge janaha manda samandamatiyo manda bhagya hi updrutaha. So let me give you the meaning of this verse. How to learn shlokas? The art of learning shlokas is to recite, is to repeat. Now, all of you are young kids. I see most of the young kids are part of it. If you just repeat each line 3 times, so I'll tell you the method of learning shlokas. Repeat each line 3 times. Like Prayena Alpa Ayusha Sabhya. Once again, Prayena Alpa Ayusha Sabhya. And the third time, Prayena Alpa Ayusha Sabhya. Like this, you repeat each line 3 times. And then you repeat the pairs of the line, which means repeat the first 2 lines and the next 2 lines, and then repeat the whole shloka. You will have memorized because the kids' memory is very sharp, and if they repeat something, they can memorize very easily. Other style of learning is to know the meaning. So I'll give you the meaning of it. I've told you about the repetition. You can do repetition by yourself at home. So meaning, prayena alpa, very limited. What is very limited? Ayu. The people of this world, their ayu has become very less, very meager. Kalava asmin. Kalava asmin means the people of the Kali Yuga. What are the other features? Manda. Sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi updrutaha. Manda means lazy also. Let me just pull out the word-to-word meaning. Manda. Manda refers to lazy. Sumanda matayo means misguided. Manda bhagya. Bhagya means fortune. Manda bhagya means unfortunate. Updruta. Updruta means always fighting or quarreling with each other. So these are the symptoms of Kali Yuga, and just we saw what happened with Parikshit Maharaj putting a dead snake around the neck of Samik Rishi. But this was not all in all. What happened next indicated all the more the influence of Kali Yuga was spreading. So this Samik Rishi had a young son who was almost 12 years old by the name of Shringi. The son was taking a bath in a nearby river, and he got the message like the king of the whole world came to their ashram, and like that the king got upset at his father and put a dead snake around the neck of his father. When Shringi heard this, he became so angry. He said, "How dare the king offend, insult my father?" He came out of the river because he was a son of a great sage, Samik Rishi. He also had a great Brahmanical powers. He came out of the river, he touched the water with his lips, and he chanted Vedic mantras, and he cursed the king. And he cursed the king that the king will die in 7 days from now by the biting of a poisonous snake of Takshak. There's a snake bird by the name of Takshak, and this snake bird would come and attack King Parikshit 7 days from now, and like that, this king would be killed for the insult of my father. So how did the father of Shringi responded when he heard that my son have given such a severe curse? In the meantime, the sage who was in the hermitage, Samik Rishi, he woke up. And when he saw the dead snake, he didn't bother. Well, he didn't woke up on his own. The Shringi came running, the son came running to the hermitage. And when Shringi saw the dead snake around the neck of his father, he began to cry. He called the name of his father, and the father came out of the trance. And when he looked at his young boy, he said, "Why are you crying?" And Shringi said, "My dear father, you had been insulted." And father, Samika Rishi, saw around his neck there was a snake. He looked around his neck and he saw a snake. He didn't say anything. He just lifted the snake and threw it away. He said, "What happened? That's not a big deal." And then Shingi explained what all happened. And he said that because King Parikshit did this to you, I have cursed him. So when Samika Rishi heard this, Samika Rishi became very sad, very upset. And he said, "My dear son, this is such an unfortunate thing that you have cursed such a great personality who is a Raj Rishi, who is a protector of the Brahmanas, protector of the devotees, who is an upholder of Dharma. You have cursed him to prematurely die? Now, what can we do? He does not deserve death." Now, how would King Parikshit respond? Now, King Parikshit, what he did not receive, he did not deserve such a punishment. Samika Rishi felt greatly insulted and embarrassed for his son's act, for his Shringi's act. So he sent his disciple to go and inform Parikshit Maharaj about the curse. Our Acharya has explained because Parikshit Maharaj was such a great king, he was a descendant of Pandavas. He had the capacity and capability to curse Shringi, and to nullify the curse of Shringi. He could have counteracted the curse of Shringi. He could have cursed Shringi also, but Parikshit Maharaj did not do any of these things. So here comes a second verse for all of you, which is given in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes the qualities of a devotee, that how the devotees of the Lord are very tolerant. Very, very important and beautiful verse. This is from first canto, 18th chapter, verse number 48. Tiraskrata vipralabdha shapta shipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavopihi. So I'm going to give you all the right to unmute yourself, and we'll repeat one line, okay? So please, all of you unmute. Tiraskrata vipralabdha Shabda Shibda Hata Api Nasya Tat Pratikurvanti Tadbhakta Prabhavopihi. Thank you. Let me give you word-to-word meaning of it and explain the meaning of it. Tiraskata matlab bezati hona, insulted. Vipralabdha means cheated, to cheat, to get cheated. Sapta shipata, sapta means to be cursed. Shipata being ignored. Hata being harmed. Api, although. Which means even if a devotee is insulted, being cursed, being ignored, being harmed, being cheated, how does a devotee react? Nasyatat pratikurvanti. For any of these acts, nasyatat pratikurvanti. Pratikurvanti means counteract. The devotee of the Lord does not counteract. Tadbhakta prabhavopihi. Although the devotees of the Lord are very powerful, but they do not counteract. In other words, the meaning of this verse is, which Suta Goswami is telling to the sages, not the Suta Goswami, it's a Samika Rishi speaking, explaining about the forbearance, the tolerance of a devotee. So the meaning of this verse, the devotees of the Lord are so forbearing. Forbearing means tolerant, that they're not disturbed by insult, by cheating, by being cursed, or neglected, or even harmed. And they're never inclined to take revenge. Haridas Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, was beaten in more than 22 marketplaces, yet Haridas Thakur was wishing well for all those who were punishing him. Parikshit Maharaj similarly did not counteract or did not take revenge for what happened to him. So like this, Parikshit Maharaj, when he was informed he did not take any action to protect himself. Rather, he saw it as the mercy of the Lord, and he immediately left his kingdom, came to the forest at this place called as Shukratal, where when he arrived, he saw a great, huge assembly of sages from all over the world have assembled there. And at that point, at that place, Parishit Maharaj met all of them and requested all of them for guidance. And that is a time when Sukhdev Goswami arrived. And all the sages there assembled got up from their seat, and they all accepted Sukhdev Goswami to be the most prominent and most enlightened and learned sage. And they all offered Sukhdev Goswami the seat, seat in the sense, the respect. And Parishit Maharaj was directed by all of them to take guidance from or to make an inquiry from Sukhdev Goswami. Like this, at Shukratal, at this place, the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for the second time. The first time Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken at Badrinarayan or Badrinath, where we have Vyasadev's Gufa. And here is the second time when Sukhdev Goswami spoke to Parishit Maharaj. In the next episode, we'll discuss about the story of Parishit Maharaj. But let me tell you what happened at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. When Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated and recited, or when Sukhdev Goswami answered the inquiries of Parishit Maharaj, after that, all the sages blessed Parishit Maharaj. The narration goes that they all departed from there, or they would, or you can say maybe they were there. But now the 7 days have passed, and the curse was about to take place, the effect of the curse. So the snake bird, Takshak, this was a snake bird, a snake which had feathers, which means a flying snake. But the snake bird was not an ordinary snake bird. It was a mystical snake bird which could take any form. So it is explained that the snake bird, in the form of a human being, was walking towards the Shukratal. On the way, this Takshak met a Brahmana by the name of Kashyapa Muni. Not the Kashyapa Muni that we know from our pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is another Kashyapa Muni. So this Kashyapa Muni was also running towards the Shukratal, and the Takshak met this Brahmana and asked, "Where are you running? Where are you going so fast?" Kashyapa Muni said, "My dear sir, I was told that Parishit Maharaj would be bitten by a snake, and I have a mystical power that I can counteract the biting of any snake." So then this Brahmana was alarmed, not was Brahmana, the Takshak bird was alarmed. And this Takshak thought, "Oh, really? That this person, this Brahmana, would not let me do my task. I'm here to kill Parishit Maharaj." So it is explained that this Takshak, just to check the potency or the power of this Kashyapa Muni, the Brahman, is it for true, challenged this Brahmana that, "Are you sure you can do so?" This Brahmana said, "Yes, I can do so." At that point of time, this Takshak took out some poison and put the poison on a nearby branch of a tree. And immediately the branch of the tree was burnt into fire, into flames. And at that point of time, this Kashyapa Muni, the Brahmana, chanted some mantras and immediately neutralized the effect of the biting or of the poison of this Takshak. When Takshak saw this, he was shocked that, "Oh, certainly this Brahman is very, very powerful." And he asked the Brahman, "Why do you want to protect Parishit?" So this Brahman said, "Because I want to receive reward for my knowledge from the king." So this Takshak said, "Well, I will give you reward far greater than the king can give, but you should go away from here." Like this, Takshak gave a lot of reward, a lot of money. And now you know why Kali Yuga Brahmanas are always greedy. This is another incident about it. You know how the age of Kali Yuga corrupt the minds, even of the learned people like this. So the place where this incident occurred, the meeting between a Takshak and Kashyapa Muni, is known by the name of Bera Heri, which is just 5 kilometers away from Shukratal. Like that, this place is there where the branch of the tree was burnt. And just right next to it, the place where Takshak had given the jewelry, the award, a lot of wealth to this Brahmana, the place where this charity was given, or not a charity, the award was given, that place is also there, and it is known by the name of Modana. And today there is a village at that place whose name is Morna, which is just 4 kilometers away from Shukratal, 1 kilometer away from the place where the Takshak had burnt the branch of a tree like that. Finally, the legend continues, and it is explained that Takshak came to the place, but nobody allowed Takshak to enter, to go near to Parikshit Maharaj. So that Takshak took a form of a caterpillar, got into the fruit basket, entered into where Parikshit Maharaj was there, and suddenly came out from the basket and took the form of a snake bird. And then the snake bird threw flames or the poisons from his mouth, and right in front of everyone, Parikshit Maharaj, who was sitting in the state of samadhi, completely absorbed in remembering Krishna, without any pain, without any knowledge of the outside world, accepted death as a gift of the Lord. And like this, Parikshit Maharaj left away from this world. Parikshit Maharaj, before coming to the forest, gave the reign or gave the control of Hastinapur or the rulership of the whole world to his son Janmejaya. Janmejaya was young then, but later on when he grew up, when he got to know how the snake was responsible for the death of his father, Janmejaya became very angry and he decided to perform a great yajna, Sarpa yajna, with the help of Brahmanas, where he decided to kill and destroy all the snakes. And it is at that assembly where Brahmaji appeared and he requested to Janmejaya not to perform this yajna, or not to complete this yajna. And there, Brahmaji instructed Vaishampayana, the sage Vaishampayana, who was a disciple of Vyasadeva, that for the pleasure of Janmejaya and all the assembled sages, and so that Janmejaya know the history, the true history of his ancestors, you should narrate the whole of Mahabharata, which, hey Vaishampayana, you've heard from your spiritual master Vyasadeva. Like that, on that Sarpa Yajna, which was performed by the son of Parikshit Maharaj, Janmejaya, there Mahabharata was recited for the first time. And like this, the storyline goes on. And with this, we come to the conclusion of our today's topic, the history of Shukratal, where the story or the way the Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated for the second time. And third time, it was Naimisharanya. So when we meet next time, next week, we'll be discussing about the story of Parikshit Maharaj. We spoke today about how Parikshit Maharaj met Sukadeva Goswami and how Parikshit Maharaj departed from this world. And next time we'll talk about how Parikshit Maharaj appeared in this world. And before we conclude, we have learned two verses. The first verse was about the symptoms of Kali Yuga. Prayen alpayushya sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaham mandas mandamatyam madbhagya hi upadutaha. And the second verse we discussed today was about the forbearance of the devotees of the Lord. Tiraskrata vipralabdha shapta shipta hatapi nasyatat pratikurvanti tadbhakta prabhavo pihi. And these two verses marks the homework verses for all of you. So with that, we pause here and conclude for today. I see Lokia's hand up. Lokia, please go ahead. Unmute. Lokia, you're not audible at all. I could just hear a small child. Lokia, you can type in a message. You're hardly audible. Jagannath.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt. Haribol?
Yes, I'm listening.
My voice is coming?
Very well.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I was having a doubt that how the snakes were having, means how from which, if they done from a god, if they got the boon that they could take the shape of anything like Takshak.
Oh, these were not the ordinary snakes. You know, when you go in the Patal Loka, the lower planetary systems, they are dedicated planetary system for Sarpas. So there are Sarpa Lokas also. So this Takshak was no ordinary. And this Takshak had a relationship with the ancestors of Parikshit Maharaj. What was the relationship? What was an incident? In fact, Takshak was an enemy of, the Kuru Resh or Kuru Vamsa in that sense, of the ancestors of Parikshit or of the whole Parikshit line. So what was that incident? I will leave that as a homework for all of you to think about and give me an answer next time. We have discussed about that in our Mahabharata episode, but these were not ordinary snakes. These were celestials, and they had the power to take any form. Anything else?
Hari, I have a doubt about the PPT of the shloka.
About the PPT of the shloka. Okay, I don't know. I have a doubt about your question now. So no, nonetheless, you can say the question.
In that PPT, the English is not understandable. That what you shown on the screen was different, and in that the shlokas in written in English were different. I opened that.
Oh, you're saying the shlokas language was not clear to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Shlokas was because I believe last time you only had said now, Prabhu, don't have shlokas in Sanskrit, have it in English. So I used English this time. And it's the same English, the transliteration that Prabhupada had in his Bhagavatam. I will take a look at it because I just put this shlokas just 2 minutes before starting a session. But you have the verse number. You can definitely find the shlokas and learn it. Okay, Jagannath? Lokya. Yes, Lokya, go ahead. Little bit. Oh, okay. So that will take a while for me to repeat. You could not hear how Parishad Maharaj departed from this world, how Takshat came, because I have another meeting to go now. The recording would be available and you can listen to the concluding part there, Lokya. All right? Jagannath, oh, sorry, not Jagannath, Adi Lakshman.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt that another story I have heard that he came inside a fruit like a snail, the worm that comes inside a fruit. So which one is
Yeah,
the
that's
right one?
those are details where things could be mentioned slightly different. But what is described, you call as a caterpillar, you call as a snail. He came in a fruit basket. That's all right. The details are not that important in that
Prabhuji,
sense.
one more doubt. Why did 7 days like that? In many
Why?
literatures and all, there is that days and that is something relation, something in that story. So why
Well,
7 days?
that's 7 days. That was, Shingi was inspired to say 7 days. So we could have only 18,000 verses. If Shingi would have said 14 days, then you would have Srimad Bhagavatam of 36,000 verses. At least people in one lifetime, they read 18,000 verses. If there were 36,000 verses, the people would have to take multiple lifetimes to read it. That was the kindness of the Lord, maybe, So there is no other relation with that idea. But glad it was only 7 days. We find difficult to read 18,000 verses. If it was more than 7 days, probably would not have finished Bhagavatam ever in this lifetime. So no, there's no other relation.
Prabhuji, one more doubt. In which state is in which current state is this places that Shukratal and all?
Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh.
Hey, Uttar Pradesh is an interesting place. Ayodhya,
Ma'am, I have visited
Vrindavan, even Dhruv Maharaj,
Yes,
his palace, his city, his residence was also there near Kanpur. The Valmiki's ashram is in Uttar Pradesh. Your Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh. You name the holy city. Interestingly, all of them seem to be there in Uttar Pradesh. Interesting place. Okay. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Last question, Shriyan, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I had that question only. That why everything is Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah, I don't know why.
But she said that I also don't know.
Hey, Maharashtra have Sant Tukaram's birthplace. You have Pandarinath, right? Vittal Dev. Don't feel so bad. You have, Pandarinath. So that's good enough. Okay. And Srila Prabhupada made sure that every state have plenty of ISKCON temples. You don't have to worry about that my state doesn't have temples. We have ISKCON temples. So great. Thank you all.